Some children never threw tantrums. They didn't slam doors. They didn't demand attention. They stayed quiet. They behaved. They understood things far beyond their age. And everyone said the same thing. You're so mature. But no one asked why they had to be. Being the mature child often looks admirable from the outside, responsible, calm, helpful, the one who never causes problems, the one who comforts others, the one who handles things. But maturity that develops too early is rarely a gift. It is usually a response. Sometimes it begins in homes filled with stress, financial pressure, emotional distance, unpredictable moods, arguments behind closed doors. The child senses it, and without being asked, they step up, they become quieter, easier, less needy, because they don't want to add to the weight. Over time, they learn something dangerous. My feelings are inconvenient. So they stop expressing them. They comfort their parents instead of being comforted. They take care of siblings. They become the stable one. This is called parentification, when a child takes on emotional responsibilities that were never meant for them. At first, it looks like strength, but inside, something is forming. Hyper-awareness, hyper-responsibility, hyper-independence. The child becomes extremely attuned to other people's moods. They can sense tension instantly. They adjust themselves to keep the peace. They become experts at reading the room, but they never learn how to express their own needs. As they grow older, this pattern follows them. In friendships, they are the listener, the advice giver, the strong one. In relationships, they struggle to ask for reassurance. They struggle to admit when they're hurt, because deep down, they believe needing something makes them a burden. The silent damage shows up in subtle ways. They overwork themselves. They rarely rest. They feel guilty doing nothing. Their nervous system is always slightly alert, always scanning, always prepared, because growing up, they had to be ready for anything. Another hidden consequence is emotional suppression. When a child learns that crying doesn't help, they stop crying. When expressing anger causes problems, they swallow it. But emotions don't disappear just because they are ignored. They get stored in the body as tension, as anxiety, as quiet burnout. Many mature children grow into adults who struggle with vulnerability. They appear composed, even during chaos. But when someone tries to get close, something feels unfamiliar, uncomfortable, because vulnerability requires trust, and trust requires believing someone will show up for you, something they never fully experienced. There is also a deep loneliness that often goes unnoticed, not the loud kind, the quiet kind, the kind where you are surrounded by people, but no one really sees you, because you never learned how to let yourself be seen. The mature child often becomes the high achiever. Success feels safe. Control feels safe. Accomplishment feels like proof of worth. But their self-worth becomes tied to usefulness. If I am not helping, achieving, or fixing something, what am I worth? This is the silent damage, not visible scars, but internal patterns. Beliefs like, I must handle everything alone. I should not need too much. I cannot fall apart. And over time, carrying everything alone becomes exhausting. Healing begins with awareness, recognizing that being the mature child was not your personality. It was survival. You adapted beautifully to an environment that required too much of you. That is not weakness. That is resilience. But resilience does not mean you must stay in survival mode forever. You are allowed to unlearn. You're allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to rest. You're allowed to have needs. Relearning safety takes time. It feels uncomfortable at first. Saying I need support, admitting I'm overwhelmed, letting someone care for you. But every time you allow it, your nervous system learns something new. That connection does not always end in disappointment. That support does not always disappear. Being the mature child may have protected you. It may have kept the peace. It may have made you strong. But you were never meant to carry adulthood in childhood, and you were never meant to carry life alone. Real maturity is not suppressing your needs. It is understanding them. Real strength is not emotional silence. It is emotional honesty. And maybe the most powerful thing you can do now is give yourself the care you once had to provide for everyone else.